shopping Singapore's favourite pastime. We're a tiny country, but there are about 171 malls in Singapore. That's a lot of shopping malls. We have a ton of options if we ever want to go shopping. But there's just one problem. Shopping malls in Singapore are all kind of similar to each other. So here's what your typical mall in Singapore looks like. It has a Watsons or a Guardian, a spectacle shop like Owndays or Spectacle Hut, and a bakery like BreadTalk or Four Leaves. There's a McDonald's that's always damn crowded and a Giordano that's always damn empty. There's also a K-Cuts or a QB house. Bubble tea options include either a Liho or a Koi. And a Mr. Coconut that always somehow has a long queue. Other food options include Old Chang Kee, Ya Kun Kaya Toast or Subway. Last but not least, top it off with a Starbucks that's always filled with people that are studying or working. There are definitely some malls that follow this familiar template. But are all malls in Singapore really that boring? I decided to try and use math to figure it out. So I looked at some of the most popular shopping malls in Singapore and went through each and every shopping directory. I assigned a +1 value every time a store showed up. 44 malls, 8,000 stores, and many hours later, I found out that the answer to that question is... yeah, kind of. First, I sorted the values from high to low. And these are the top 40 most frequently recurring stores. Most malls have at least a few of these top 40 stores. Next and Waterway Point have almost all of the 40 stores under one roof. But you can also see that that's not the case for all 44 malls. So the next step in my totally unscientific methodology was to find out which of these 44 malls is the most generic and which is the most unique. I mean, if people think shopping malls in Singapore are too boring, that must mean that we prefer unique shopping malls, right? But what makes a mall generic or unique? I think a generic mall is simply one that has more chain stores than independent stores. But that's not all. I mean, if you think about it, a mall also feels more boring when there are more generic chains in it. For example, a mall that has a Uniqlo in it feels more generic than a mall that has a wallet shop, because you see Uniqlo in malls more than you see wallet shops. We use this to create a generic score, which is simply a sum of the stores in a mall multiplied by how generic it is, divided by the size of the mall. Some more hours later, I found out that the most generic mall is Hougang Mall. Hougang Mall is a modest neighbourhood mall near Hougang MRT. It's a pretty small mall, but a large percentage of its stores are commonly found chains and franchises, making the experience of shopping at Hougang Mall a very generic one. But even though it's not the most exciting shopping mall, it's usually really busy. And on the other end of the scale, the most unique mall is Katong Shopping Centre. Yeah, I guess it is Katong Shopping Centre. So, Katong Shopping Centre is obviously a very niche and unique mall. It's a bit empty, but maybe today is just an off day. I mean, there's great shops like Design and Stitch, or Italian Trend, or Eddie Interior. Okay, obviously the logic is flawed. A unique or niche mall doesn't necessarily mean that it's a better mall. Katong Shopping Centre is a strata mall that's as niche as it can get, but it's not exactly Singapore's hottest shopping spot. So maybe malls are generic because it's a formula that works. Let's face it, generic malls make money. Most shopping malls in Singapore are run by REITs, which means a company that owns, operates and finances income-generating real estate. Strata malls sell their units to individual owners, and all of the owners have a share in the ownership of the building and are liable for costs towards its management and upkeep.
In the REITs mall, it's a collective effort. They actually appoint a single mall operator who then can plan better, right? Whereas the strata title mall is multiple owners, they all have different interests, so everybody starts to make decisions based on their individual interests. Whereas REITs, you appoint a professional malls and everything is charted and planned, so it's easier to control.
Mall REITs have to pay their investors dividends, so they're more inclined to rent their retail spaces to tenants that are popular, well-known and can ensure steady profits.
So most importantly, normally what they do is they do the branding of the mall because they actually look at the trading area. They then decide what kind of tenants to bring in, what are the value proposition they give to the shopkeeper as well as the customer. Because if the shopkeeper cannot make money, they cannot pay rental. It's also an issue. So they have to look after both sides. So I think it's a collective effort and it's more concerted.
So there's a reason why you see Uniqlo's and Starbucks and bubble tea shops everywhere. It's because we freaking love buying their stuff. Location also plays a huge factor here, something that the data set doesn't account for. More than half of the shopping malls in Singapore are actually located outside of central Singapore. Generally, malls like Funan, Ion and 313 Somerset situated in central Singapore tend to be more unique, and malls in neighbourhood areas tend to be more generic. That makes sense because these more unique malls serve a totally different purpose as compared to neighbourhood malls in Singapore. These malls in central Singapore are designed to be shopping destinations. Tourists visiting Singapore are way more likely to shop at Paragon than at Hougang One Mall, right? Which leads me to my next point. The main purpose of neighbourhood malls is to provide basic amenities for the people that live nearby. No one wants to travel far away to run basic errands, so neighbourhood malls are super popular for that very reason. What these malls have is enough to meet your daily basic needs, so you don't really need anything too fancy. But there's also a third reason why shopping malls in Singapore are so similar to one another, and that's high mall rents and the importance of brand recognition also means a higher barrier to entry for smaller businesses who want to break into the market. And even if they did have the means of affording renovation costs, rentals or down payments, they might not even be given a chance anyway.
We started online first, and then we happened to start a shop in Clarke Quay Central.
Our first small outlet actually is a very small space in Takashimaya. It was a 100 square feet corner space. To me, it was a stepping stone to get into an A-list mall.
We are new and we can't go to big malls. Clarke Quay okay with us and the rental is affordable. It's a challenge initially because everybody thought we are selling cats food.
Local brands, I mean, we all start out as unknowns, right? We are not like some Italian brand that has been around for 200 years. You need to let the mall management know that here, I'm an unknown brand, but I can take up a small space that nobody wants. And then you watch how I grow, you watch how I do things. And then maybe perhaps when you have a bigger space at a better location, I could be in contention.
The mall also look at your track record. Can Daniel deliver a brand that can bring me people?
Even though there's a reason why boring malls exist, there's definitely a case to be made for making malls more exciting and varied.
So I think malls should see themselves not just as a transactional place, but it's a place for you to discover. I'm here to give you the first to market product. More lifestyle, collaborate with services like learning, pampering. Most of the people here has already met that transactional needs, but they are looking for interactive, immersive. Stop thinking of yourself as a mall. Start thinking of yourself as a lifestyle spaces where your job is to create things for your community to come.
Thanks for watching this video. If you'd like to see more, don't forget to click on the subscribe button and the notification bell.